Leader.
Yesterday morning, senseless violence struck the community of Benton in western Kentucky. A shooting at Marshall County High School has claimed 2 lives, left more than a dozen injured, and thrust an entire community into shock and grief. Such a tragedy is every parent's worst nightmare. Schools should be a haven where students, faculty, and staff can learn and work without fear of violence. Elaine and I send our thoughts to the victims, their families and friends, and the entire Marshall County High School community. Last night, Kentuckians came together in more than 20 prayer vigils and services across the region. Though few of us can begin to understand their grief, an entire nation stands in solidarity at their side. Now, Mr. President, on an entirely different matter, yesterday the Senate took another important step in confirming President Trump's qualified nominees. In strong bipartisan fashion, we confirmed Jerome Powell to serve as chairman of the Federal Reserve by a vote of 84 to 13. Mr. Powell was a fine choice to lead the Federal Reserve System. His public service and private sector work alike have received accolades from across the political spectrum. He joined the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve in 2012, and he's demonstrated an expert grasp of monetary policy and a commitment to improving the Fed's transparency and accountability to Congress and to the public. I enjoyed meeting with him during the confirmation process and look forward to his service in this new position. The position of Fed chairman is integral to the health of the U.S. economy. Washington must empower the American people to create prosperity through sound policy that gets the government out of the way of workers and job creators. Jay Powell is up to the task. I was proud to vote to confirm him yesterday. The Senate also voted yesterday to advance the nomination of another highly qualified nominee, Alex Azar, who will serve as Secretary of Health and Human Services. In his impressive testimony before the Finance Committee, Mr. Azar discussed his intention to confront head-on the opioid crisis that is hurting so many families across our country, including in my home state of Kentucky. He made clear that he will place an important priority on prevention, education, and enforcement to halt the advance of this scourge. But he recognizes we need effective, compassionate treatment options for those who are seeking recovery. And for all Americans, he will work to expand access to high-quality, affordable health care options. His distinguished record, including prior HHS service as Deputy Secretary and private sector work, shows he is the right man for the job. It is vital that this department be headed by a leader with Mr. Azar's extensive qualifications and excellent reputation. He will be responsible for overseeing $1.13 trillion in department spending, supervising critical research, and administering and reforming programs that touch millions of American lives, such as Medicare and Medicaid. I look forward to voting soon in support of his confirmation. Now, on another matter, the rising tide of economic optimism I've been highlighting on the floor is not showing any signs of subsiding. Yesterday alone, 3 of the nation's largest companies announced major new investments in the U.S. economy and workforce. Each said their decisions were made possible by the improved business climate created by the landmark tax code overhaul that Congress passed last year. First, Verizon announced plans to invest a chunk of its tax reform savings right back into its employees. Next month, about 155,000 Verizon workers, including senior management, will receive stock bonuses valued around $2,500. Additional savings will also go to expanded philanthropy and infrastructure investments right here in America. Further, the Walt Disney Company announced a new investment of at least $175 million in its U.S. workforce. Over 125,000 employees will receive cash bonuses, and Disney will invest $50 million in an employee education program designed to help hourly employees access higher education and vocational training. And J.P. Morgan Chase announced a $20 billion five-year comprehensive investment plan to support economic growth and American workers. That plan includes permanent raises for 22,000 employees, hundreds of new bank branches across the country, thousands of new jobs, expanded philanthropy, and an increase in loans for affordable housing and small business development. And just this morning, Starbucks has announced it is permanently raising pay and conferring new benefits like one-time stock bonuses and expanded paid leave. This major investment in the U.S. workforce will affect more than 150,000 employees. So, Mr. President, the good news about tax reform and its benefits is rolling in almost faster than I can keep up with it. In retrospect, the surprise here is not that this tax relief has boosted the American economy. The real surprise is that those who oppose tax reform didn't see it coming.